Welcome to today on Princess Anu TV. Welcome to today's live stream. If you're here, just let me know. Okay guys, today we are going to be talking about aviation safety, especially as it has to do with flight school. So that's what we are going to be talking about today. So if you join us, just let me know. Leave a comment about your name. Oh, JCDM is here. I can see we have uh gorgeous beauty is here. It's super nice having my favorite people here. Welcome guys. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as usual. We'll be starting very soon. We are talking about aviation safety. How safe is it, like as concerns flight school, like how safe is the aviation industry, especially during flight training. That's what we're going to be discussing today. So stay tuned guys, stay tuned for this discussion. Basically, like what are the strategies that flight school has put in place to make sure everybody is safe, their students are safe, the staffs are safe, the instructors are safe. We're going to be touching some of these things tonight. And like I said, sorry about yesterday I wasn't seeing the chats, but thank God today I'm seeing everybody's chats and comments. So we are going to be starting soon. And as you know, we always talk about aviation, motivation, and adventure. And if you've not yet subscribed, obviously everyone here has subscribed. That's why they got the notification. But if you've not subscribed, make sure you click on the subscribe button and click on that bell so that whenever I post any video, you'll be able to see it. Even as we wait for more people to join us today, welcome guys. We know that flight training deals with a lot of, like, flight training has to do with a lot of hazards, like generally, even as aviation has to do with a lot of hazards. But aviation in training on its own, you're bound to make so many mistakes. So we are going to be talking about some hazards that are in flight school and how some flight schools are like managing it. I'll be using like NCAT, kind of like our own experience to like talk about how safe is it. Like, the first things I would like you to know is that before you even choose a flight school, you should look at their safety record. Safety record is, I'm going to say safety record is like everything. Safety record is everything, because you don't want to go to a flight school that everybody that goes is having one issue or the other, like the person is, maybe you hear of crashes and all that. But I hear of a lot of crashes actually outside Nigeria. But in Nigeria you rarely hear all these kind of crashes anyways. But a lot of flight schools have issues day in day out, either landing, like barely landing, or to first land, or crashes, mini crashes, major crashes, and all that. So even before you pick a flight school, you need to even check their like safety records. What is the safety record like of that flight school? Do they have constant incidents, constant issues? I can see more people are joining us. Don't forget to like leave a comment. I would like to know the people I'm talking to in today's video. And not only that, I would like for you to leave your aviation questions so that during the end of the video we'll be able to talk. George, welcome. Welcome to today's live stream. It's nice having you here today. So we are just going to be talking about some hazards that range from human human, I'm going to call it human error, hazards that range from mechanical failures, hazards that range from act of God. You know, there are some things that are called like act of God. If you've done intense safety, you get to understand that there are some things that are called act of God. That act of God is seen as some things that you cannot control. You did your part, everybody did his or her own part, but you definitely couldn't control it. So it's called like act of God. So we'll be talking about some of these things like in a rap, human factor, one or two of all these things. And not only that, we're going to be talking about some root causes, like some root causes of these things, and what are the things that these flights, what are the strategies that they are putting in place to like help all these things out. And aviation, like you know, is very regulated. Like it's very regulated. There is no Nigerian aviation, South African aviation, US aviation. Like aviation is regulated. Everybody is supposed to be found doing the same thing. And not only that everybody is supposed to be found doing the same thing, you cannot go below the standard. Like ICAO actually sets a certain standard, but everybody now builds their own under the standard of ICAO. You cannot like go below ICAO. Imagine, let me use for instance, if ICAO says the minimum descent altitude for a, let me just use something. If it says the minimum descent altitude for a small aircraft, Edo Timothy, welcome today. Thank you so much. Studies has been going fine and quite like slow, but everything is going really good. We thank God about that. Thanks for being here today, Edo Timothy. So you can't really put your own below ICAO. If the peradventure say that minimum descent altitude maybe is like 500 feet above built up areas, built up areas, you cannot put your own at 300 feet. Instead, other countries will put their own at 600, 800, 900, like that, like above ICAO. You cannot go below ICAO because ICAO is the regulatory body for everybody, like all over the world. The civil aviation body, ICAO, is the one regulating everybody. So it's always like nice for you to have all these things in your mind. Then there's, now let's talk about like strategies, things they put in place for us to avoid most of these problems in like safety issues in aviation. Number one, like you know, they avoid poor communications. That's why we use things like Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel, like that, They kind of like avoid using words like A, B, C. So now you have the normal aviation, language. You don't just talk as you. Oh, can a student? Okay, I'm just saying George's question. As we go on, we'll just be answering the question so that we don't stay like too long with all this. Okay, George, can a student pilot rated on say Tampico aircraft switch to another type, e.g. Diamond, seamlessly without any need for another training on the Diamond? No. Okay, let me digress a little before we come back to this safety stuff. If you're flying a Tampico aircraft, just like you do when you start your training, when you're supposed to switch to another aircraft due to training, because everything is based on like your level, you fly this one for now, then later when you pass this level you fly this one, when you pass this level, like you keep moving upward. So if you're flying a Tampico, which you're going to start with, when you now want to move over to maybe flying a twin engine aircraft or flying a higher version of the Tampico, like now let me use this example. If like now we were flying TB9 before, which is single engine and also it's a fixed landing gear. Now we transition to flying TB20, which was is a single engine aircraft, but it now has a retractable landing gear. Like the normal ones you retract, like when you take off, like you retract the gear. So if you're going to switch, you will need to do handling. There's something that is called handling on that aircraft. Like it's just like driving a car. Well, driving a car is quite different, because no matter the kind of car you like change, it's still the same pattern. But now for an aircraft is different. You will need to get a type on that aircraft. But you know, the type is not like you're flying a jet now that you need to pay so much money to get the type. It's still like in the curriculum for your school. If you're flying a single engine aircraft, you need to like fly. Okay, after flying that single engine aircraft, if you want to move over to flying the multi-engine, you would have written a type rating. That's the written version, the theory correction, and the practical. You now come for the practical. You need general handling on that aircraft. You need to do several kind of landings on that aircraft. You need to do what else do they test? They want to check if you can do the normal exercise, like I always say, all those turns, all the exercises you did with the TB9, the Tampico aircraft. You need to also be able to replicate them again on that Diamond aircraft. If not, you're going nowhere. You're not going to get that type. So it's not like they're basically teaching you how to fly again, because climb is still climb, making a medium level turn is still medium level turn, but they want to see if you can handle that aircraft, because most of the time there are factors that change. It's just like I told you, from a TB9 to a TB20, now you're no longer having a fixed landing gear, now you're having a retractable landing gear. So you need to be like conscious of the fact that gears must be down, and you need to see 3 grains. Now if you're flying the Diamond aircraft, it's quite different. I actually just started flying it recently, and it's cool, but it's faster, because the speed is kind of faster. So you're going to be cruising at 120 knots, like that, 150 knots. So you need to like be ahead of the aircraft. That's what I'm trying to say. You need to be like ahead of the aircraft. If you're not ahead of the aircraft, then you might not get a type on that aircraft. They'll be like, oh sorry, we can't give you a type. You need to go for a check ride actually on that aircraft to be able to get a type on it. So just have that at the back of your mind. If you're switching from this aircraft to this aircraft, from this aircraft to this aircraft, you will need to do a type on it. I hope like I answered that question. If you have any other one, just drop them, even as we keep talking about safety. Israel, oh, Israel is here. Sir Israel, I know this is you. Sir Israel, welcome. I appreciate your presence on today's live stream. It's really nice having you. So guys, we're talking about safety. Safety, very, very important. Safety is very, very paramount. And there are some measures that flight school put in place. I know I'm not talking about the airlines now, because we are not there. Maybe when we get there, we'll also talk about their part. We are talking about the part that airlines, flight school has to like put in place. Okay, George, I'm happy I answered that question. Thank you so much. Fair Gorgeous Beauty, how long does it take to get a rating? How long does it take to get a rating? Okay, this now depends on the kind of rating you want to get. Like, I've heard of my senior colleagues saying that if you want to go for a type rating, that's for a Boeing 737, or whether NG, whether Classic, or any of maybe the Embraer series, or the Cessna Citation, or any of them, it's going to take you an average of like 6 weeks. If you're flying in NCAT and you want to do a rating on, you just need to like perform the exercise. It might take you an average of 3 to 5 flights, because now I don't want to say days, because things change. Like, you know, outside this country they fly 24 hours, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the night. So there's nothing like oh sorry, weather was bad and all that, because they fly almost like 24 hours and it's simulator. But now if you're going to be doing it actual, if you're doing the jets, it's actually simulator. Nobody's going to give you a full Boeing 737 to come and start playing and landing with. So if you want to now use the Tampico or maybe the Diamond or all that, you will need to maybe go for nothing less than maybe 7 flights, because I think 7 flights is the requirement. You must have done at least 7 flights. You must have had 7 hours on that aircraft. So that's an average of 7 flights, because per 1 flight is like 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. So an average of 7 to 10 flights. That's how you're going to be calculating. So it doesn't really take much. If there's good weather, you can finish in 1 week or 2 weeks. But if you're going for the Boeing series and all those the jet series. I think it take you 6 weeks because you need to learn. I heard, I'm this part, I'm not talking based on experience. I heard that when you want to do the jets part, you will need to learn most about the systems and all that, so you're going to spend like more time to like get familiar with the systems. So basically, Sha, that's how long it takes. And gorgeous beauty, I'm really happy that you're learning so much. And your questions are really like intriguing, like they are like direct to the point, and I really enjoy them. Anyways, thanks so much for asking that question. So back to the safety topic, guys. So now, how do we do this? Like I've talked about poor communication. They try to eliminate poor communication by making sure that everybody communicates with a certain kind of language. Now, not just that. Oh, Edo Timothy, I can see your question. Can one become a pilot without a degree? Yes. Capital letter. Yes, you can become a pilot without a degree. You don't have to have a degree to become a pilot. You can leave straight from secondary school to become a pilot, and maybe later on in life, depending on how far you want to go, you can decide to like get a degree, but it's not compulsory for you to like get a degree. So the number 2 thing concerning the safety stuff we are talking about, they don't give room for mistakes. There's nothing like ignorance, and that is part of why you always have your checklist. You always have your manuals in the aircraft. You always go with your POH. So even in flight school, in fact, I know an instructor that if you don't go to the aircraft with your POH, like inside your bag, he might likely fail you for that check ride. Those are some of the requirements that he always wants to see when you're doing your check ride. And this is because, I don't know if you've watched some air crash investigations. I really like to watch them some of the time, though sometimes like I'm like, Lord, what's going to happen and all that. But it's interesting, and you see that sometimes when they face challenges in the cockpit, you see the captain asking, please check so manual, check the manual. It's like the pilot's bible. I'm going to call it the pilot bible. In fact, that's basically what they call it. It's always in the aircraft. You have to check to know the procedure to follow for that exact issue that you're facing. Like I think the air crash investigation I watched today was talking about they had a bomb that was bomb in the aircraft. They had a bomb in the aircraft, and so their controls were stiff, and they were jammed kind of due to the bomb. They were jammed, and the captain was finding it really difficult to maneuver, and he was like, told the flight engineer you should check what to do when you have jam controls, and the guy checked it and they were able to. So you see, they don't want to give rooms for mistakes. They don't want to give rooms for assumption. And in flight school, it's the same thing. Nobody's giving you room to form your own. Like some of our instructors will say, these things are already there. All you have to do is to follow the process. You're not inventing anything. You're not thinking about anything, because safety is so important. This is not the time where you start practicalizing with someone else's life. This is not the time where you start thinking of, okay, what should we do? Or no, these things are already written. They are written down in the POH. They are written down in your checklist. If you follow your checklist, if you follow your POH, you're not going to have issues. So guys, these are some things that you really need to consider, and these are part of things that make flight school safe. So if you hear of issues, maybe those flight schools are not like following the correct process. They're not like following the correct procedure or whatever. So that's the number 2 thing. They don't give room for assumptions. Now another thing is this self-interest. In flight school, especially in a government-owned school, there's always this, you don't have, I think in quotes, you don't have everybody like fighting for their selfish interests, because you know the way it is now, government organization, I beg is government. So there's nobody like fighting for their selfish interests. But I think if it was a private sector, if it was a kind of private stuff, some people might be fighting for their selfish interest. But aviation makes sure it regulates things to a point that no matter the kind of way you're fighting for your selfish interest, you don't be tampering with people's lives. That's the main thing. Okay, fair, gorgeous beauty. What's the cause if any student pilot makes a mistake? the course if a student pilot makes a mistake. That's why there is no room for mistakes. Let's start from there. But do we make mistakes? Yes, we all do make mistakes. But now, this all depends on the gravity of mistakes that you are about to make or that you're making. For instance, I said it before, in my first solo, one of the scariest mistakes I've made in early days of flying, my first solo, I took off flapless and I had not done that exercise. The normal way is that if you're taking off, you take off with flaps at 65 and you take off flapless at 70 where you have enough speed. But due to agitation and all that, my first solo, I was like agitated. How am I going to do this and all that? And I took off flapless. And guys, like, when I was about to like 300 feet above the ground, you retract your flap. I was about to retract my make mistakes. I've seen people that have even made worse mistakes, but number one, God is merciful anyways. But you see, in aviation, they deal with the facts, they deal with what is on ground, like something we can hold. So those mistakes that a student pilot is allowed to make is not a kind that you will kill somebody. For instance, let me give you an example. The early days of your flying, most of the time, where you change your fuel cork, where you change the fuel tank, you can either change it and put it on the next tank, or you can put it on off position. If mistakenly you're changing the fuel tank and you mistakenly put it on off position, that can actually kill you and your instructor. So there are some things that instructors, they don't joke with, they don't like, they're not friendly with you about it. They don't care whether you're angry with them or not. They will shout at you, you know, they will do their own stuff because they feel that, for goodness sake, what's wrong with this girl? What's wrong with this boy? Like, what? You need to hear my instructors are shouting sometimes. You would think that the whole aircraft was to fall, like the vibration in the aircraft, only you'll be thinking about it. So, but there are some kind of mistakes you make that endanger your life, and not just your life, the life of your instructor, that your instructor will not take lightly with you. He can take controls and decide that he's the only one that is coming to land the aircraft. He can decide that, in fact, you're grounded. He can decide that he's not flying with you again. Depend on the kind of mistakes that you make. And that's why we are learning. When you learn, you make mistakes, but they don't expect you to make mistakes that will cost your life. And that's why I was saying that these things are already there in the checklists. All you have to do is to pick up your checklist and read it. Read it and do. Read and do. Like recently, my instructor was, the instructor that's flying was like, the checklist is not a novel. And I could get his point. It's actually correct. You don't just read. No. You like read one and do one. You read one, do one. You read one, do one. So these things are like very, very important. They are super important, and that's why we have to learn. Like in aviation, I've learned that you need to follow instruction. In aviation, you follow instruction as it is. It's just like almost like the military. Like you follow just as the way they are giving you, hook, line, and sinker. You're going with it exactly the way they are giving you. So it's not a time where you start forging your own instructions or thinking about how you do things your own way. No, aviation does not give space for that. They are not expecting you to invent anything. If you want to invent anything, go to the lab and try up your stuff. But you cannot come and be messing with lives and hope to just come and try anything. No, it's not done that way. So yes, student pilots make mistakes, but it all depends on the level of mistake that you make. So I think you should like consider that. And in fact, I even wrote here in my jotter, a mistake can cost 4 lives, 5 lives. Especially here in flight school, a mistake can cost the lives of everyone on board, the instructor, like everybody. And most of the time, ground staffs even go in for it because you're coming to like first land, and maybe if you like make it in a good place, you might not hit anybody or kill anybody or do anything to anybody. But what if you don't make it in a good area, in a good place? Maybe your engine shut off or something happens. What will happen? So guys, that's part of why there's actually no room for mistakes, and safety is a priority. That's why we're discussing strategies. How do these flight schools keep their safety records? Because for me, safety record is something that nobody wants to go. In fact, there's something one of our instructors said recently. He was like, for every time you take off that aircraft and you land successfully, you've cheated death. You've actually cheated death, because it's not, yeah, it's aerodynamics and all that, but think about it logically. Taking a metal filled with fuel that can explode anything, you take it to the air all by yourself and you bring it down, guys, it's a serious business. That's what I'm trying to say. You cannot come and be messing with lives, then you now come to the airline messing with lives of 100 people, 200 people, 300 people. No, that is not done. That will not be correct. So I think it's something we should really, really like take very, very seriously. Like take very, very seriously. Another thing, how they like mitigate some strategies is they avoid assumption. Avoidance of assumption. Edotimoti, is it difficult to become a pilot? Okay, as per you're asking, how easy is it, right? Okay, if I'm going to twist that question, is how easy is it to become a pilot? I'm going to say that becoming a pilot requires so much of study, so much of reading, and the whole of your heart or your mind, because if it's challenges, you would definitely face challenges. There are times when everything will not be going just as you want it to go. I've said it severally that I think aviation teaches you some certain kind of things, and number one of them all is patience. Patience is the biggest part of it, because you face terrible challenges. I'm telling you, some challenges that I don't really know anybody that has passed through flight school and said throughout from beginning to the end like it went all smooth, all nice. But maybe there are people, and I'm happy for them, but some people just at the verge of like getting either their PPL or CPL, things start becoming so difficult, things start becoming so hard. Or is it the ground school aspect you want us to talk about? Like you have to read and read and read for the ground school, and you must make sure you get nothing less than 75. But it's easy, it's possible, people have done it, people are still doing it, and people will keep doing it. So I would like you to believe that it's not difficult if you put your mind to it and if you put the work required to it. But it will be definitely difficult if you don't put your mind to it and if you don't put the work required to it. It requires a lot of dedication, and that's why most of the time they say it's better to do exclusively, like do just your flying without combining it with any other thing. And some people also say if you don't have enough money, just try and combine it maybe with work or anything that like gives you money, so that you can like fly, go to school, fly, go to school, fly, go to work, fly, go to work. So it just depends. It depends. There's no hard and fast rule to it. And another thing is that it's quite like flexible. That's something you should know. Flying is a bit flexible. So it's not like every day you get to fly, so you can work your way around it, especially if you don't want to like stay in Nigeria. You can work your way around it, where you're schooling or where you're working. You can just like have an arrangement with the fly school, tell them this time you'll be coming, this time you'll not be around, like that, and you'll be fine. So the short part of the long story is that it's not difficult. Just make sure like you put your mind towards it and invest the required time towards it. That's what I'm going to be saying. And I hope I touched that part too. So let's go back to safety. And I was talking about assumptions, that there are no rooms for assumptions. There's nothing like he flew the aircraft last, so I assume that there was fuel inside. You don't try that. Or you do not drain. You know, I've talked about before why draining is very important, like draining your fuel to ensure that there's no water under. Imagine when you drive a car that you had adulterated fuel, and you know that boo boo, the way the sound of the engine is when you're driving a car that has water inside the fuel. The engine tends to knock because that is not what the engine is supposed to be receiving. Now imagine if you're flying an aircraft that has water inside it. And how will you know if you did not drain? If you didn't drain the water, the fuel from the draining point, you will not know if that aircraft had water in it, and you now assume and say no, no, no. So that's why they always advise for every time they refuel the aircraft, always drain. Not only that, not only when they like refuel the aircraft, if you're not, it's always good, check your fuel. You need to be, because you are responsible for your safety. That's what I'm trying to say. The flight school can do their part, but I'm telling you, if anything happens, you were the one in that aircraft. You'll be the one to like face the consequences. You'll be the one to like suffer whatever. And so your safety should be your priority. Everyone's safety, in fact, safety is the responsibility of everybody. We should not just bank on the flight school strategy, because the flight school can do their part, like ensuring that there is enough aircraft, the aircrafts are serviceable, providing enough maybe instructors. They can do their part, but I assure you, it's not everything they can do. And God forbid, you don't want to be in that aircraft that's going to have one safety issue or the other, that people are running around and all that and all that. So basically what I'm trying to say is, don't go to a flight school that doesn't have a good safety record. That's number one. Look for flight schools that are making sure their strategy for taking care of their students is top notch, like giving their students priority, like safety wise. That's what I'm trying to say, like safety wise. Go to a flight school that you don't really hear of crashes, like, do you know, that's even what scares people from this aviation of a thing. Like, you say, do you want to come and become a pilot, or do you want to become like a cabin crew? Like, I was talking to one of my friends today, and I was asking her about this cabin crew stuff, and she was like, Kai, all these plane crashes, bobo and all that. And this is because of safety issues. And like, you know, an accident is not just something that occurs now. An accident is something that occurs due to a chain of events. Like, something has happened, then the last straw that broke the camel's back, then everything is destroyed. So these are things that happen, and we need to be like very, very careful. We need to be like very, very watchful, and we need to like put our best, because if we want to survive, you will need to like be a safety conscious person. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't just throw caution into the wind and just believe that, I beg, anything goes. No, anything doesn't go in this case. So guys, I'm really, really happy that I'm telling you guys about these things today, because as you come into flight school, or if you're already in flight school, if you're about wrapping up just like I am, consider safety as a priority. Even as you go to the airlines, your health, make sure you're safe. You know those safe checklists: illness, medication, stress, what's the T now, safe, okay, alcohol, make sure you're not on that alcohol, fatigue, and what's the last one, emotion. That's make sure you've eaten, or make sure your emotions are right, that kind of stuff. So we have like an safe checklist that we always use to like caution ourselves. And also external factors too. I'm going to say external factors too are very, very important. So these are some things that you should like consider to do. Don't put yourself into situations where you have to like run helter skelter, or thinking of like what to do. So that's it for today's live stream. Let me quickly check if I've touched most of the things that we had to touch today. Then I'll be giving my shout outs and final notes for today. But before then, I would like to talk about one more thing, which is ignorance. Okay, JCDM, thanks for being here. Before I do the shout out, I just want to check if we have any questions. Oh, George, thanks for that compliment. I really appreciate that. Okay, I've answered that. Okay, I want to talk about ignorance. Just the way mistakes are not accepted, ignorance too is not an excuse. There's nothing like I didn't know, because obviously you're supposed to know. It's just like speeds, knowing where to get the speeds, knowing where to find whatever you want to find, like inside the operation manual or inside your checklist, or knowing where to find the emergencies and all that. There's no I didn't know. So it's always good to like keep yourself ahead, keep yourself in check. Fair, gorgeous beauty, is it possible to have your own runway and aircraft? Yes. You know, I'm smiling. I know that very soon, one day, we are going to have our own runway and aircraft, and we'll be able to like take people out for flight training. Not only flight training, like maybe the airline stuff. Like, it's really going to be nice. But NCA has steps you have to follow before you can have like your own aircraft. No, you have to like register your own aircraft. You can buy your own aircraft, that's not a problem, but you need to know where to park it and all that. There are fees you have to pay. I really don't know much about that, and thanks for asking. That means I have to kind of like give myself more study concerning. I'm going to like write it down so that I'll go and research about it. What and what will you need to have for you to have your own aircraft? Not only that, for you to have your own runway too is the same thing. Everybody cannot just be building airstrips or runways around the nation and all that. So I'm sure NCA has bodies that regulate it, how to like be the requirements you must have before you have a runway or an airstrip in your house or in your area or in your land. So I hope I treated that. I'll have to like do. Oh, Kevo Gaming, thanks so much for being here. At least you came. It's not about the fact that you're late. Just make sure like you watch the video from the beginning so you don't miss the things we talked about and the questions that were answered today. Is it possible? Okay, I've answered that. Is it possible? Okay, fair, gorgeous beauty, please talk briefly about night solo. Okay, we talked about night solo the last time, and you guys didn't really have opportunity to like ask your questions because, like I said, I had like some slight network issues. So basically the whole summary I gave about night solo was that if your instructor doesn't seem you fit, if your instructor doesn't consider that you can do your night solo and do it and come back in one piece, he or she will not clear you for the solo, because it's more difficult to do search and rescue at night than to do it during the day. And also night is a rating. You being able to fly at night is a rating. It's not like a license. So, and I think when you've flown, you need to like do like 3 takeoffs and 3 landings to ensure that you keep flying. So if you don't fly for the last 90 days, you need to do 3 takeoffs and 3 landings to keep yourself recurrent for your night. So that was a summary of like last week's video, except you have something in particular to ask. I like explained so much in the last live stream. Yeah, that was the live stream we had. That was yesterday, I think yesterday. So you can just check that out. I talked extensively about night solo. Let me see if we have any other thing to talk about here. Thank you so much, guys, for everyone that came. Okay, Anu-Timothy, God bless you forever and now and always. Thank you so much. Amen. Amen. So, okay. Okay, I'm so happy that I've shared most of the questions you guys asked tonight. So I'd like to give a shout out to everyone that joined me in today's live stream. Like, it's really nice like having you guys today and always as usual. JCDM, thanks so much for joining. Fair, gorgeous beauty, thanks for being here. George, seems like George has gone. George, thanks for being here. Edward Timothy, thanks for being here. You've been one of the like constant people coming for the live streams every day. I really appreciate that. Israel Adirimo, thanks for being here. Like, it's really nice having you. Kelvin, thanks for coming to today's live stream. Okay, Fair Gorgeous Beauty asks a question. Which of the solo is good, night or day? Day. Okay, for me personally, I'm going to be telling you sincerely, flying at night is smoother, more calm and better. But for safety reasons, flying during the day is always safer. I can tell you, flying during the day is always safer. But if you're flying at night, you don't have this like heavy winds, you don't have turbulence, everything just goes smooth. Guys, you need to try it. You need to like try it. Flying at night, you just feel like all your career you should be flying at night. I'm serious. Yeah. I'm serious about that. You just feel like the whole of your career you should like be flying at night, and you really need to try it. You need to try it. Maybe I think you should try it. In fact, I really don't know whether I say you should try like people that go for discovery flights, like these discovery flights, they always used to advise that you fly and know if flying is your thing. You know, all those they say before you come to flight school, go for a discovery flight and know if it's your thing and all that. I would advise you try a discovery flight at night. You will see that the turbulence you feel during the day is different from when you're flying at night. Like, it's smooth. It's very, very smooth. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's very, very smooth. So try flying at night. You enjoy it. So, but for safety reasons, my answer is solo during the day is always better than going solo at night, so that in case anything happens, the night is never a pilot's friend, because if he needs help, it's difficult to get help at night, but during the day you can like easily find help. So that's why I'll say solo at night during the day is better. Okay, Fair Gorgeous Beauty, is there any of the aircraft that is preferable for night solo, or you can use any of them? Wow, thanks for all these educative questions. There is no particular aircraft that is what word am I going to use now, that is specific for night operations? No, but you must make sure you have your instruments like functioning. If you don't have your instruments functioning, you cannot go for night, because it's like an IFR flight. You depend mostly on your instruments. Like, any of your thinking, anything you're doing is on your instrument. So if your instrument is not functioning, you're going to have an issue with going for night or using that aircraft for a night operation. So once the instruments are functioning and you know that you don't have any issue with your instrument, then I think there's no aircraft that is specific for night and specific for day, so far your instruments are functioning. Okay, we need to try that. Yeah, Kelvin, seriously, I think you should try that, because I will advise you, when you're going for a discovery flight, please try it at night. I'm not lying, you're going to enjoy flying. Try it at night, you will really enjoy flying. Which of the seasons is good to fly? Which one did you prefer, rain or dry season? All of them comes with their own challenges. Whether the rainy season, whether the dry season, they all come with their own challenges. But I'm going to say rainy season is better, because when you have clear weather, you know you have clear weather. Not Harmattan, you see dust, you're not able to see. Visibility is always poor during Harmattan season. You're always dealing with visibility all the way. So it's always best that rainy season is better. Seriously, I'm going to say rainy season is better, because throughout this period now of this Harmattan, especially when it was very serious, visibility has always been bad. The only issue that you have during rainy season is that you have to start battling with thunderstorm and all that, but it's always like better to fly during rainy season. Please, is there no solution for engine failure in an aircraft while flying? This engine failure thing, it's a big topic on its own. I think I have it like in my agenda for this live streams that we are doing. Engine failure is like a big topic on its own. Have you done your 1000 flying experience? Nah, I've not gotten up to 1000 hours. I'm still barely like 200 hours or so. I'm not yet 1000 hours, but very soon, by God's grace, I'll be. It's like sooner than I expect. So I know you will be here to like see the 1000 hours shout out. I'll be like, hello guys, I just got 1000 hours, and you like celebrate with me because I know that you're going to be happy for me. So guys, just keep thinking about this aviation stuff. Don't get too bothered. I'll only advise you, for every time you have any challenge concerning thinking about how to start your career or how to maneuver your career, write it down so that when we come for these live streams, you can share your concerns, you can talk about your fears, whatever, anything you want to do, because you know we are trying to make use of the time. This time we have, for now we have like plenty of time to like discuss. You know, when you start having to deal with a lot of other things, life generally, then there might be no long time like this for us to like discuss. So guys, my goodbye note is coming right now. So if you still have questions, you can drop them before the end of this live stream. Okay, I'll just like to give us maybe some like 1 minute or so that you can check if you still have any questions. Okay, what's the good and bad experience a pilot? Okay, good and bad experience a pilot experiences. I really want to know. Okay, everybody has, it's a personal thing. Everybody actually has their own experiences. Like some people's experiences can be funny, like I told you about my experience today, flying flapless. That's my first solo experience. So some people will have more and more experiences telling you what they faced, how they were able to maneuver. So it's a personal thing because flying is all about experience. The more you fly, the more you see new things, the more you see what's going on. That's what I'm going to say. So the flying of a thing is, it's not, there's no hard and fast rule. That's what I'm trying to say. Just like the way you travel and you gain experience for yourself, just like 5 different people can go to Dubai and they will have 5 different stories, like completely different stories, even if you take them to the same places. Like this one is going to be telling you something different, this one is going to be telling you something different, this one is going to be telling you something different. It's just about how they see life. So basically, somebody might like night shifts, so the other person might not like night shifts, all those things. Someone might like flying constantly, another person might just want to fly for fun. So I think pilot experience is based on individual, just individual base. So I can't really answer that. I can only tell you my own experience. What about flying tension? Sincerely, sometimes I still have flying tension. Like if I'm going to fly, I'm thinking, God, please, I don't want to mess up, because I don't want this instructor to see me that I didn't prepare or something. Even when I've prepared, I still sometimes fidget. But I start doing this breathing exercise. I don't know who does it too, but I do the breathing exercise, like, listen, you'll be fine, just know you'll be fine. And sometimes, like, I talk to my classmates and they're like, don't worry, just take it easy, you'll be fine. And I still have this flying tension. I really don't know if you still have it, but I don't know if everybody, like all pilots, have it, but personally, like, I have it. And it's good sometimes because it keeps you up at your feet, but sometimes, most of the time, it's bad. It's like having fear. So I have not really figured out how to like completely eradicate the flying tension, but it's still there. Maybe because I'm still a student, so you're trying to always meet up, you're trying to always do your best so that nobody gets to complain that you didn't do your part. So it's just there. Is there any major difference between aircraft used in flight schools and the one used in the airport, like the Cessna and the Boeing? Yes, there's a major difference. It's not the ones used for training is not that complicated, and most of them are fixed landing gears. Why all those Boeing aircrafts and those ones that you fly, they have larger capacities, larger engine, larger speed. You're dealing, the differences are so much. Like I cannot start like listing plenty, but they are so much. And those ones you use for training, they are quite rugged. There are some things you cannot do with a Boeing 737, which is the passenger aircraft, that you can do with a Cessna and a TB9. So they are like totally different. I tell you that they are totally different. Can you graduate as a pilot if one fails the exams? See guys, let me tell you something. You see these exams of a thing, especially the theory part, this is the aspect that delays a lot of persons. I'm telling you the truth. And that's why I want you to be up at your game. Like when I mean up at your game, I want you to be serious. Be like a serious student in this flying. If you come, like I tell myself, if I'm in school, I'm in school. Do you get that stuff? If you're in school, you're in school. If you're at home, be at home. Don't try to always be jangling things together. You know, sometimes it's not easy, but you need to pass those exams. If you don't pass those exams, you have to resit it. But if you resit it, you're expected to pass. So I'm not going to be telling you what happens when you fail, because I'm not expecting you to fail. Okay, let me just talk about it. If you fail, you will have to write that exam again and again and again till you pass. That's if you're given the opportunity to write it again and again and again. And don't forget, if the school pays for you the first time and they will pay for the receipt, the next time you will have to go by yourself, pay the money by yourself. Nobody's going to pay the money for you, because you know the exams are already like included in your school fee. So if you have a receipt, the school will still allow you, like they will still invite NCAT and all that. You write the exams again. If you have another receipt, you will go to NCAT by yourself to go and write the exams, or whatever place you're going to be writing the exams, you go by yourself to write the exams. Nobody's going to like pay for you. Nobody's going to consider all the logistics that has to do with writing the exams. So please don't fail. Don't plan to fail the exams. Don't even plan to fail at all. Let's remove failure. So let's not think about failure. Don't plan to fail at all. Okay, fair gorgeous beauty. How do you feel? No, that's Edo Timothy. Okay, before that, and how do you get rid of them? Okay, how do you get rid of them? Like I said, I've not yet gotten rid of my flying tension, so I can't really tell you how you get rid of yours. As the Bible says, they say remove the mote in your eyes before trying to remove this one in another person's eyes. So personally, I've not fully gotten rid of it, so I can't really tell you that do this to get rid of yours, because I'm still working on mine. So maybe when I figure out how I can like get rid of mine, then maybe I can now tell you how you can get rid of yours also. How do you feel when you're on air? Like, that's one of the best feelings I have, because I keep remembering that I wanted to do this and I'm doing it, and I'm just happy. You know that feeling, like you always wanted to fly, you always wanted to become a pilot, you always wanted to give your best to flying, and you see yourself airborne. That's one of the best things, I'm telling you. That's why I said, guys, flying is interesting. I'll keep saying this. Forget about all those disadvantages of flying and all that. They are not much. The disadvantages are not much, and training can be rigorous, but if you pass the stage of training, I think, well, I've not fully left the stage of training, but I feel the higher you go, you get to understand the system better, and you get to like play around the system, not like from the beginning phase where you're trying, everything is looking so difficult. It's not like the higher you go, it will not look difficult. It might look difficult, but you can try to like play around the whole process. So it's a very interesting profession. Flying is a very interesting profession, and you don't want to just give up your dreams, your aspirations, and the rest and the rest. So don't think about the negative part. Let's always focus on the positive part. So my conclusion though, today, we've done so much today, guys, and I think it's time we go so that we can have a cool night rest till we meet tomorrow. So my conclusion note for today is Kelvo Gaming. Now that I'm about to give my conclusion note, it's now Kevin is posting his question. Okay, oh Kelvin, tomorrow night if you come late, which other flight school is like NCAT? My parents won't allow me go to the north. The fear of the north. But I think you should make I think you should make your parents understand that NCAT, I think the environment in NCAT is very, very security. Like this area and this school environment is very, very safe. I cannot say 100% safe because obviously I'm not God. It's God that keeps us, it's God that protects us, but it's safe to a large extent. Why I'm going to be saying it's safe to a large extent is because we've not had casualties of, say, maybe kidnap or one thing or all these bad things we hear around the north. And it's because there are a lot of schools around here. You have ABU here, NCAT is here, there's this FGGC, like you have schools around this area, so it's quite safe. And I think you should give a visit to NCAT. It's safe. You should not think too much about it's God that keeps, but yes, it's quite safe. The security is a good one. The security is okay. And so explain that to them. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you. Then in NCAT, you only have, I've said it before, we only have 2 flight schools, just NCAT and IAC. So if you don't want to come to the north, then you have to go to the west. That's IAC, and IAC 2 is okay. I've seen people that have graduated from there and they are doing fine. So you can also consider there. And I think you should just explain to your parents. Let them visit NCAT and they will see how secure the environment is. And I think they will allow you. Sincerely, they will allow you. You can't. No, IAC. I think it's International Aviation College. Yeah, I think that's what it is. International Aviation College. But I'll confirm that. Actually. International Aviation College. Yeah, I'll check that and I'll put it in the comment section. You should consider IAC too because it's in the west, it's in Ilorin, but it's also in Nigeria. So these are the 2 schools that train for now, fixed wing, and I think it's a good one. Seriously, it's a good one. Don't put your dreams apart because of though safety is very important. That's why we are talking about safety. This one, though we talked about aviation safety, but even safety in the environment is something that we cannot trade, because if God forbid they are looking for someone who is going to do flying, like that person is gone, the person is gone. So we also need to be like safety, very, very much safety cautious. It will really like help us so much. So guys, my advice for you, or my motivational notes today is, guess what it is? Guess what I'm about to say? Well, maybe you will not be able to guess, but always look at the big picture. That's what I want to say today. Always look at the big picture. Sometimes we face challenges. Even me, I'm not an exception. I think about it, and that's why I'm always talking based on experience. I think about it. Why is it that whenever I tell my friends I want to become a pilot, the first thing they say is that that means you should check what you're doing. You might have been sending wrong signals to them that maybe you're not a careful person or something. I really cannot tell. Fair Gorgeous Beauty, I've answered your question. Let me check that again. Okay, what is your best subject in flying? I think now I like meteorology. I didn't really like it before, but I think now I'm quite okay with meteorology. Like I like meteorology, but that's not like my best subject. I don't know if I have a best subject, but I just like meteorology and communication. Yeah, communication. Meteorology and communication, like I like it. But you know, in flying, they always tell us aviate, navigate before you communicate. So communication is supposed to be like the last thing. I like communication and I like metrology. It's like I love those courses. Like it's really, really good. So uh Kelvo, I think you should like really watch it. Seriously. You might have been doing something that they're like, come, this guy, is he going to be careful? Is he not going to be careful and all that? So guys, as I was saying, always look at the big picture. Always look at the big picture. You might be passing through a challenge now. Things might look as if they are not working now, but consider the big picture. Know that God is taking you to a big place. Know that you're not small. Know that you are more than how you are now. So think about the big picture. And I tell you, if you always consider the big picture, you will have the best experience. You will have the best experience. So I'm really happy that everyone came. Really wish to see you. I'm really happy that everyone came to today's live stream. Like most of you, I enjoyed the conversation. And like I really love this. I really love this. I never knew this live streams are going to be so like interesting and all that. But I'm really happy that you guys are here communicating, talking about your challenges and getting to know more and more. So guys, till we meet next time, as you know, we are going to be talking more and more. It's still aviation, motivation, adventure, and the rest. So if you still have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comment section of this video after the end of the video, so that we will, you know, talk about it and all that and all that. So bye guys.